Children, now let us know how these kingdoms and empires came up. Janpads, which means the kingdoms or the land where the Jans or the people set their foot to settle down and make that place their kingdom. Now, who would be the king of that kingdom? We have learnt in previous lessons that from amongst themselves only they would select a leader for them. But now there were Rajas as rulers of these Janapads. Now these Rajas were special people who only looked after the protection and welfare of their kingdoms. Some of the important Janpads and Mahajanpads are shown in map 4 of textbook. The archaeologists have found many settlements of Janpads at Purana Killa in Delhi, Atranji Khera near Eta, a place in present-day Uttar Pradesh, at Hastinapur near Meerut, again in Uttar Pradesh. Children, do you identify Hastinapur? It is the same place about which we have heard a lot in the stories of Mahabharata, the epic belonging to Vedic age. It has also been found that the common people in that period lived in huts, they kept cattle and other domestic animals along with them and grew many crops like rice, barley, sesame, mustard, wheat, pulses, and sugarcane. Through excavations, another finding is of the earthen pots. Some were painted in red and some were grey. A special type of pottery was also found known as painted grey ware. They were usually painted with simple lines and geometric designs. Now, about 2500 years ago, some Janpads or kingdoms became more larger and important than others, and they were called as Mahajanpads. These Mahajanpads had a capital city and many capital cities were fortified. Means they were surrounded with huge walls made up of wood, brick or stones. Now what was the need for the cities or Mahajanpads to be fortified? Forts were built because the people needed to be protected from the attacks of other kings. Some rulers also wanted to show off how rich and powerful they were by building tall and impressive fortified walls. Whereas some rulers felt it was easy for them to control the people when they lived inside the fortified area. Children, have a look at this fortification wall at a place called Kaushambi in Uttar Pradesh. Do you think it might be easy for the people living thousands years ago to build this wall without any help of technology? No, it was not. Building such huge walls require lots of plannings, thousands and lakhs of bricks or stones. Large number of laborers would be required to build such a big wall. Generally, thousands of men, women and children were used as laborers. Resources had to be found to make bricks and bake them. And the raw materials and the finished goods of bricks had to be transported from factory site to the fortification site. Now, the rulers of Mahajanpads also had to maintain large regular armies. The soldiers had to be paid regular salaries throughout the year. Some payments were made using the punch-marked coins of the kingdoms. The rulers of Mahajanpads had to build huge forts and maintain large armies. For this, they needed more resources and more people to work for them, and more money to pay salaries to these people. So, instead of depending on gifts given to them by the people as in the Janapads, the Mahajanpad Rajas now started to collect regular taxes from the people. Taxes on crops were the most important, as most of the people that time were farmers. The farmer's tax was fixed as 1/6 part of whatever crop was produced in their farm. It was called bhag or share. There were taxes on craft persons also. Craft persons had to work in form of labor instead of giving anything to the king. For example, a weaver who weaves cloth, or a smith, that means the blacksmith or goldsmith, they had to work absolutely for free for the king for at least one day in a month. The herders were also expected to pay taxes in form of animals like horses, elephants, etc., and animal produce like ghee, milk, wool, etc. The traders had to pay taxes on goods that were brought and sold in the markets. And even the hunters and gatherers also had to provide forest produce to the king. Can you guess what good had the hunters and gatherers given to the kings? Do you know we pay taxes to the government even in today's times, and it is very necessary to pay taxes for our own welfare and development. It was during this time that two major changes in agriculture took place. One change was an increase in use of iron plowshares. By using the iron plowshares, heavy and clayey soil could be turned over better than in comparison to wooden plowshares. Good turning of soil increased the productions of grain. The second change was transplantation of paddy. Here, instead of scattering the seeds on the grounds, saplings of rice plants were grown and planted in the fields. Due to this also, more plants could survive and give more grains. As a result of these two major changes, the Mahajanpads flourished in agriculture. However, it was very back-breaking and tiring work. Generally, this work was done by slave men and women who were often known as dasas and the dasis, and the landless agricultural laborers called as kammakaras. Children, we need to understand that no work is considered as lowly work. If the work that we consider to be below our dignity and not doing it, then the people who are doing it for us, we should be grateful to them. We should be grateful to the farmers who are involved in one of the most important occupation. Without food, it would be difficult for us to survive, right? The craft persons, the herders, the sweepers and cleaners, the rulers, the Brahmins who impart education. Each and every work has its own importance, and we should learn to respect all of their works. Children, do take a quick recap of today's lesson that we have learned through these following slides. We will continue further in the next video lesson about the remaining part. Till then, read the lesson thoroughly well, and please feel free to contact me if you have any doubts or difficulties.